Welcome in to Palmetto Sports Daily on this fine Monday. Caroline here, joined by Rick, Tegan, and Kevin. And guys, it's Monday, which means yesterday was Selection Sunday for our D1 college softball teams, and the Clemson Tigers have locked up a 6th seed and are headed to the Athens Regional, where they will play this coming weekend. That is hosted by 3-seed Georgia, a team that the Tigers actually played back in February. And not only did they just host them, or head there, actually played in Athens, they ruled Georgia in Athens 10-1 in 6 innings. So definitely an interesting thing to keep an eye on. These two teams play every single year. The Tigers will actually start with UNC Greensboro first in this regional at 4:30 on Friday. Interesting thing about going to Athens, there are 9 Tigers players who are from the state of Georgia. So they're expecting to have a lot of family members, a lot of fans, a lot of that going on in the stands when they return back to their home state this weekend.
I think it's extra special, a lot of us being from Georgia. I mean, a little hometown moment for a lot of us, and I feel like we're going to have a good fan show out, a lot of support, and I'm just really excited. Like she said, a team that we've had the opportunity to play this season, but we know they're going to come out competitive, we're going to come out competitive, and it's just going to be a fight of a regional. And like Coach Rittman said, it's just always a blessing to make regional, and so I think we're just really excited to get after it, especially after having 2 weeks to kind of just only one game. I mean, we're all eager to hit the field and go try and win a championship.
This never gets old. We're we've had a really interesting type of year for Clemson. We've played the toughest schedule that we've played in the history of our program, and had a few ups and downs. It's been an interesting journey that we've been on this year, and so really pleased to see where we're seated.
Tigers kind of surged towards the end of the season, didn't play how they wanted to in the ACC tournament, falling against North Carolina. But again, they are in the tournament. They have not missed the NCAA tournament since the program's creation back in 2020. That COVID year does not count. Again, playing UNC Greensboro on Friday. Georgia is hosting the regional, and College of Charleston is the other team that's in that. Kevin, what do we know about CFC getting in there?
Yeah, it really just came out of nowhere for the College of Charleston because nobody saw this coming. CFC went into the CAA tournament last week as the 5 seed. We expected them to maybe pull off an upset against the number 4 seed Stony Brook early on. They did that. Then they come out, beat the top seed Towson, or top seed Hofstra, I should say. Then beat number 3 Campbell. Then got another shot at the top seed Hofstra on Saturday. And they pull off the wins in all of those. In fact, they got shutouts in the last 2 games, including that championship game. So all of a sudden, the College of Charleston, who finished in 5th place in the CAA in the regular season, they are now going to the NCAA tournament for just the 2nd time in program history. Huge deal for CFC. There they are finding out that they're going down to Athens coming up this weekend, and the college could not be more excited. South Carolina, Rick, also making the trip across country as they're going to be playing UCLA in this tournament.
Yeah, the good news for South Carolina, they get an at-large selection. They're going out west to the Los Angeles Regional, where UCLA, they're the number 1 seed. South Carolina, they are the 7th seed in their quadrant. They will play Cal State Fullerton Friday at 7:30 Eastern Time. Okay, the bad news is, well, they're the Carolina ladies celebrating their selection to the tourney. The bad news for South Carolina, they win that first game, then more than likely they're going to be taking on the Bruins of UCLA. And we all remember last year, South Carolina hosting a super regional. They're playing UCLA 1 out away from advancing to the College World Series in Oklahoma City, and they lose to UCLA. Talk about a heartbreaker. And Coach Ashley Chastain Woodard said, hey, they got to forget about all that and just look forward to playing their next game.
Yeah, I'm really excited about the draw. I think there's going to be a lot of emotion going into it for us, and I think it's going to be just really important that, we separate the past from the right now, and we just go out and we play like we've been playing the last month, and keep the emotions in the right place. The team's been performing really well this back part of season, so really excited to go out there and compete.
Yeah, like what the coach said there. Hey, forget about the past and just concentrate on the right now. And even now, just thinking about that tough loss to UCLA, you just go, whew, man, what a heartbreaker. And UCLA, they are playing some really great softball. Caroline?
Yeah, Rick, I thought it was so interesting, the Gamecocks draw. They're the only team in that regional that's making the cross-country trek, because Cal Baptist and then, as you mentioned, Cal State Fullerton are both in that regional. So it's like 3 California teams and then the Gamecocks just thrown in there, which is interesting. But hey, you know, you gotta go where you're placed. But we got another USC Upstate, who is also going to be in the NCAA tournament. The Spartans won their 3rd straight Big South title over the weekend to get an automatic bid, and they are headed to the Tuscaloosa Regional. Look at those cheers. They're so excited. They've kind of become used to this, though, after winning 3 straight conference tournaments, but they are headed to the place hosted by the tournament's #1 overall seed, Alabama. That said, this team is really excited. They're excited for the opportunity that playing against a program like Alabama presents.
To win our conference tournament this year was a good challenge for us that we rose up. So I was prepared to go anywhere. I didn't really care. I was just grateful to God that we got to where we're at. But Alabama and Pat Murphy is like the best place you could go. It'll be our 6th time going, and he treats everybody so well. The experience is unbelievable. It's a lifetime experience for our kids.
So Southeastern and Belmont round out the other 2 teams in that regional, but the Spartans will start with the host team, Alabama. They'll take on them on Friday at 1, and then just quickly in the Division II softball realm, Anderson softball locks up a 6 seed. They will get a rematch with Lenore Ryan, who is a 3 seed in the first round. That will go down on Thursday. Pretty exciting for the Trojans to hear their names called as well, but we're going to take a quick break here on Palmetto Sports Daily. We will be right back to talk a little more ball.
Welcome back to Palmetto Sports Daily. We had a lot of good softball news in our opening segment for teams around the state. Now, it was a rough weekend for baseball around the state of South Carolina. We'll start right here in Columbia, where the Gamecocks were swept in their final series of the season, losing 3 to Alabama. They got off to a poor start in Sunday's finale. They were down 7-1. They did score 4 in the 8th and 1 in the 9th, but they've come up short, 7-6. They are now 22-30 overall, and that is a school record for the most losses in a season. And they are 7-20 in the SEC. They've at least won one more game than they did all of last season in conference. Here's Monty Lee talking about their failure to come through on Sunday.
We needed to score runs earlier in the ball game when we had opportunities, and we did not do that. And we had a few too many free 90s on the mound. And they scored. They took advantage. Obviously, they hit the ball well in the first, and then in the middle innings, we didn't help ourselves. And it's tough. You give up 7 runs, it's going to be tough to win. You got to really swing the bat. And again, it was great to see our guys compete there at the end of the ball game and give ourselves a chance. Had to tie and run on base, had to win the run at the plate, and just couldn't come up with another big hit there.
Sounds like the story of the season for South Carolina. They celebrated their seniors Saturday afternoon, and Monty Lee, he knows that he is not going to be coaching this team next season. He filled in as the interim head coach after Paul Maneri was let go early in the season. So now the fans are looking forward to see who's going to be the next head coach. But a pretty poor season overall. Tegan?
Yeah, Rick, you hope that they can start over and start in a good way, even if it is without Monty Lee. So Coastal Carolina, usually when we're talking about them, we're celebrating a good weekend for Coastal, but that is not the case this time, at least not in terms of the series itself. Coastal Carolina going from number 8 to number 20 in the top 25 rankings after losing the series to ODU this weekend. Now, they opened that series on Friday night with a big win. It was a 16-8 victory, but then Saturday saw a 6-3 loss. Sunday, a 9-2 loss. This pretty much gets rid of any hope for Coastal Carolina to host a regional. There were some really high hopes of doing that, and they were in a really good spot to do that before this weekend, before losing to Clemson. But now it's just the question of if Coastal Carolina is going to be able to turn this around offensively before the end of the season, if that can put them in a good spot to win a regional, even if it's not their own. I will say the good side of Coastal Carolina baseball this weekend, it was senior day on Sunday, and then before that on Friday and Saturday they celebrated the 2016 national championship winning team. So I got to talk to some of the players just about being back in Conway, and they were all really excited to be there. So Caroline, overall, not a good week for Coastal Carolina though.
Yeah, Tegan, and same for Clemson baseball. I mean, the Tigers were probably feeling pretty good after beating Coastal there over in the middle of the week, and then they had another big-time series against number 14 Florida State that just, again, kind of like the way the Tigers season has gone all year long, just did not go as planned. They dropped the opening game with a chance to maybe tie the game up there late in the game. They had a ball that was nearly a grand slam that was just inches away from going out of the park. It resulted in being an out instead, and the Tigers lost that game 8-4. But then they came back on Saturday, redeemed themselves with a little senior day victory over Florida State. They get the win 4-3 and celebrate their senior guys there. They had 11 of them that they were honoring, which was pretty cool. And of course, the freshman, Danny Nelson, pitcher, was the guy that kind of stole the show from the seniors. He and Hayden Simerson combined to retire 15 total, the 15 final batters in the win, and he and everybody else said that they just wanted to get it done for the seniors in that game on Saturday.
I love playing for those guys. Like, all these guys are my brothers, and honestly, without them, like, I wouldn't have ever be in a position that I am now to have that confidence that I do.
The seniors have been a part of a lot of success here, and obviously they have an opportunity to write the narrative of how their senior year is going to finish. I mean, mathematically we're still in it. Everybody's in it with a conference tournament the way it is, but these seniors have a chance to, kind of write this page of page 129 in the history books, but pages 128, 127, 126 that they've been a part of. They've been a part of a lot of success.
And to Coach Bakic's point there, the Tigers have a lot of work to do, but they don't exactly have a lot of time to do it. They ended up losing that third game yesterday, so they dropped the series to Florida State 2-1, and that was one that they really needed to win. I mean, we've been saying that about the last month or so for this team, that they need to win this series so they can keep their NCAA tournament hopes alive. They had a pretty good outing against Boston College last weekend, then they get the win over Coastal, another ranked top 10 win in the middle of the week, and then you have a chance to go out and do that again against Florida State, add a couple top 25 wins to your resume, and the Tigers just couldn't do it. So now they only have 4 regular season games left. They play at USC Upstate tomorrow, and then they have a 3-game series at Virginia Tech at the end of next week, and then that's it, aside from the ACC tournament. So, Kevin, I just want to hear your thoughts. I mean, what do we think the odds are of the Tigers running the table in the ACC tournament to get an NCAA tournament bid? I mean, I think that's about the only chance that they have left at this point to make it back into the dance.
No, it absolutely is the only chance. I'd say it's 3% that they pull off some kind of miracle in the ACC tournament. I think 3%. Yesterday, probably the nail in their coffin of this whole season. I think if they had beaten Florida State in that weekend series and then swept the rest of the way and won a couple of games in the ACC tournament, I think they would have had a fighting chance. But losing that series at home against a good Florida State team, I think that just takes them out of the running. But while baseball was miserable everywhere else in the state this past weekend, here in the Low Country, our team's taking care of business this weekend, including Charleston Southern went on the road and completely dismantled Longwood. They come away sweeping this 3-game series by the combined score of 42-7 over Longwood, taking all 3 games, including winning on Sunday by the score of 21-3. So the CSU Bats have officially woken up, and with that sweep, they officially qualify for the Big South tournament coming up next week. So big deal for CSU as they now have a shot at the postseason. Meanwhile, the Citadel, they were at home this weekend, took a doubleheader on Saturday as they skipped play, or no, I should say they played a doubleheader on Friday, took 2 games there over Sanford, then before dropping the series finale on Saturday against the other Bulldogs of the SoCon. So the Sid have a little bit of momentum as well as they head into the final weekend. And then the College of Charleston, they went on the road this weekend, picked up a sweep of Elon. So the Cougars also, they're over 500 now for the first time in what feels like forever in this season after the sweep of the Phoenix. So maybe a little bit of momentum for them as well as they head into the CAA tournament coming up next week. We got more to talk about here on Palmetto Sports Daily coming up right after this.
Welcome back to Palmetto Sports Daily. It was a huge weekend for golf here in the Grand Strand as the One Flight Myrtle Beach Classic returned for a third year. And it was a very exciting time there on Sunday because when it got down to it, Mark Hubbard and Brant Snedeker were tied for a majority of the end of the day. And then it was a little bit of movement there. Brant had already finished, but he ends up coming out on top, 18 under. You also see me in the corner there because I had the really cool honor of hosting the trophy ceremony this weekend. So huge thank you to the folks at the tournament who allowed me to do that. And I got to ask Brant a couple of questions after, and he was definitely, emotional and really excited as he won because this was his very first win on the tour since 2018, and he hasn't had his card for a few years. So this takes care of that for him, and it was just a really big day for him. So here's the 2026 winner after that.
Really special for me. It's been a long time. I haven't won out here in 7 or 8 years, and so to have thank you. Kind of feel like people thought I was more of a ceremonial golfer at this point in my career. It's nice to come out here and beat the young guys and show some people I can still play.
Brant is 45 years old. He was one of the older golfers in this tournament. So, Rick, just seeing his response there, just what sticks out to you about this win for him?
Yeah, you really have to feel great for him. You can hear the emotion in his voice. And when he said, hey, it's been his first win in how many years? And he got a nice round of applause because everyone in the gallery knows how much it means to him. So, Tegan, I want to ask you, what was Sunday like there around the course? I mean, you had beautiful weather, so it had to be a great day.
Yeah, it definitely was. It was Mother's Day, and so they do a couple of things to celebrate that. They were giving out flowers, one of the charities to the mothers and women that were there, which was really sweet to see. And it was a good amount of people out there. I will say it was a little bit less than it was on Saturday, spectators-wise, but that's kind of expected when it's also a holiday, and you've got the brunches and the dinners and all of that. But the weather was beautiful. The ending of it was great. It wrapped up around 5:15, but we were worried it was going to go into a playoff there for a second, but Mark Hubbard ended up bogeying. So, Snedeker came out on top. And it was interesting because he just kind of had to sit in the clubhouse and wait and see because he finished before that. So he was saying him and his caddy were just sitting there and, trying to relax. And then his caddy's like, hey, we got to get into the mindset of we might go into a playoff. The day is not done yet. So that was really interesting to hear, Kevin.
Yeah, and while that was going on Saturday over in Columbia, we had the end of maybe one of the best high school streaks we've had in the state in a long, long time as Wando, their run of 9 consecutive boys lacrosse state championships came to an end in dramatic fashion with a loss in the 5A Division I state title game against Dorman. And I wanted to show you the final goal here. This is Jaden Cossack right in the middle. He's going to get the pass from the post-up moves here. It looks like Olajuwon posting up against the Wando defender, but he takes the pass, has 3 guys around him. I still have no idea how that goal went in. There was 9.8 seconds left on the clock. Here's another look at it in slow motion. This was in overtime. There was 9.8 seconds left when he scored this goal in overtime before they would have gone to another overtime period. But that ends Wando's streak of 9 consecutive state championships. So just an amazing run for the Warriors team. But congratulations to Dorman, one of just the most dramatic wins we've seen in anything in a long time. And here's one more look at it. Again, 3 guys. I don't know if he put it behind his back or if he was swinging around. Just an incredible goal, Tegan.
Yeah, it definitely is. I absolutely love lacrosse. I'm glad to see a little bit of growth with it here in the South because I know it's typically a more northeastern sport, but that was absolutely fantastic. Yeah, it looked like he went behind his back. It looked like he just kind of, had those 9 point whatever seconds left and just had to do anything he could. So what a great way to end that game. Yeah, look at that. I mean, it's fantastic. It bounces off the ground there, and they're celebrating. So huge congrats to them, and we're going to be right back on the show after a quick break.
Welcome back to Palmetto Sports Daily. We wrap up today with some hockey talk, starting off with the South Carolina Stingrays. They are in the South Division Finals after 2 games this weekend against top-ranked Florida. The Stingrays have their backs against the wall. They dropped Game 1 on Friday night 3-0, getting shut out, then lose Game 2. Just really getting it taken to them. They dropped that one 6-2, so they come back. Game 3 being set to play Wednesday night at the North Charleston Coliseum. Rays now down 2 games to none. They need to win 4 out of the next 5, with 2 of those coming on the road if they're going to advance to the next round of the playoffs. So a lot going against the Stingrays right now. It looked like maybe a little bit was taken out of them out of that 6-game series in the first round, but they got a chance. Hopefully this series still on track to going the way things should go. They lose the first 2 on the road. They still got a chance to get back into this one at home with 3. Game 3 Wednesday, Game 4 set for Friday, and then Game 5, if necessary, will be Sunday at the Coliseum, Tegan.
Yeah, if we're talking about hockey in the state, the PD Ice Cats did not end their season the way that they wanted to. They won that first game against the Binghamton Black Bears when they played in Florence, and then the 3 games after that, PD just falling in those. They were crushed 8-1 in the first game in Binghamton, and then they were beaten 4-2 as well in that last game. But either way, still a really great inaugural season for the Ice Cats, and a great season for the fans as well, who were just really excited to have hockey back here in South Carolina, Kevin, because it's a great sport.
It is, and hopefully those PD fans will make the trip to North Charleston this week and get a chance to watch a little bit more hockey before this season wraps up. That's going to wrap up today's edition of Palmetto Sports Daily. We'll see you back here tomorrow.